On a distant planet, far from the bustling heart of the galaxy, a team of alien explorers scoured the surface in search of something powerful, something ancient. For years, rumors had circulated among the various star systems about a long-lost artifact, buried deep within the uncharted land of this forgotten world. It was said to be a relic from a race once dominant across the stars, a race whose ruins had been erased from the galaxy's memory. Humanity. The team, led by an ambitious alien archaeologist named Elon, had finally uncovered the vault. Hidden beneath the roots of enormous twisted trees that seemed to grow only on this planet, they found an entrance, sealed and ancient, as though it had been waiting for them for millennia. The vault was massive, built with technology beyond anything Elon's people could create. The door slid open with a low rumble, revealing the treasure inside. At the center of the room, standing tall and imposing, was a suit of armor. The suit gleamed with an otherworldly shine, its metallic surface undisturbed by the passage of time. The armor stood on a pedestal, untouched by dust or age, as though it had been placed there just moments ago. Its design was unlike anything Elon had ever seen, sleek yet heavily armored, with glowing lines running through it like veins of light. It pulsed with an energy that seemed to call out to the alien explorers. "Is this it?" One of the team members whispered, awe in their voice. Elon nodded, but there was doubt in his eyes. He had heard the stories, but seeing the armor up close made him wonder. Could this really be the fabled suit of the humans? The ones who had vanished, leaving behind only traces of their once great civilization. It had been years since any trace of humanity had been found, and even longer since anyone had seen one of their artifacts. The armor was a mystery, but Elon was determined to unlock its secrets, no matter what it took. With a deep breath, Elon stepped forward and pressed a button on the pedestal. The room seemed to shudder as the suit's energy field flared to life. The armor opened like a flower, revealing its inner mechanisms. The light from the glowing lines seemed to pulse faster, its rhythm changing as if responding to Elon's presence. He reached out a hand, feeling the hum of power in the air. His fingers brushed the surface of the armor, but as soon as they made contact, something strange happened. The glowing lines flickered wildly, and a shockwave of energy surged through the room. The aliens were thrown back, crashing into the walls. The ground beneath them trembled, and the air filled with a low, rumbling sound. The armor shifted again, closing in on itself like an impenetrable shell. Elon gasped. It rejected me. The other explorers scrambled to their feet, eyes wide with shock. The ancient suit, thought to be the key to unraveling humanity's lost secrets, had turned them away as if they were nothing more than insects. None of them could comprehend it. They were all experts in their respective fields, technologically advanced beyond belief, but the armor had simply refused to respond to them. What happened? One of the other explorers, a tall alien with scales shimmering under the artificial lights, asked. "I don't know," Elon muttered. "It should have accepted me. I'm the one with the knowledge, the right species to access it." The aliens gathered around, their minds working quickly. They had encountered countless advanced technologies in their time, some of which were far beyond their own understanding. But never before had they encountered something like this. It was as if the armor itself had a mind, a will to choose who it would accept, and they had failed to meet its expectations. They made another attempt. This time, a different alien, a being with 4 arms and an immense brain capacity, stepped forward. His species was known for its intellect, capable of solving puzzles that others couldn't even begin to understand. He was sure the armor would recognize his superiority. But again, as soon as his hands touched the armor, the same violent reaction occurred. The suit's light flashed, and another shockwave sent them tumbling back, their hopes dashed once again. "Why does it reject us?" one of them muttered, frustration in their voice. Elon stood back, staring at the suit, trying to make sense of it. The answers seemed just out of reach. He felt the weight of the situation pressing down on him. How could this be? The armor, an artifact from a long-forgotten race, had rejected them all. But then something caught his attention. A faint sound, a hum so subtle it could easily have been missed. It was coming from the far corner of the room, where the vault's entrance had been sealed tight. Elon turned his head sharply, his mind racing. Had something triggered the armor? Was there another force at play? Before he could make sense of it, one of the alien explorers suddenly turned and looked toward the horizon, his eyes widening. A small, sleek spacecraft had just landed nearby. It was human. The door opened, and out stepped a human, Captain Anya Kor, leader of a small team sent on a mission to investigate the planet. She had been following an ancient trail left by her ancestors, one that led her to the mysterious vault. She had heard the stories too, but now she was here to uncover the truth for herself. Elon watched in disbelief. A human. Could it be? He whispered to himself. Has the armor chosen its heir? The hum of Captain Anya Kor's spacecraft filled the still air as it descended onto the surface of the forgotten planet. The sleek, silver hull of the Odyssey gleamed under the dim light of the planet's twin suns. Anya watched from the cockpit as the ground below came into focus. Her heart raced. This was no ordinary landing. This was a mission tied to the whispers of humanity's ancient past. The Odyssey touched down softly, its engines releasing a gentle hiss as they powered down. Anya grabbed her helmet and stepped toward the exit ramp. Behind her, her crew exchanged glances. They were a small team of scientists and engineers, but they shared her excitement and her caution. As the ramp lowered, Anya's boots hit the dry, cracked soil. She looked around. The planet was eerily quiet, its surface dotted with massive trees whose roots twisted like the veins of some giant beast. The air smelled faintly metallic, a sign of the planet's rich mineral composition. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris, followed her down the ramp. "Captain, are you sure this is the right place? This planet isn't even on most star charts." Anya nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "This is it. The signal we intercepted. It's human. It's been repeating for centuries, waiting for someone to answer." Harris frowned. "But we haven't been here before. At least, not since, since Earth fell." Anya finished for him, her tone heavy. "I know. That's what makes this so important. If this signal is real, it could be from the time before we scattered. It could tell us who we were." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden burst of noise from the nearby tree line. Anya raised her hand, signaling her crew to stop. From the shadows, a group of figures emerged, aliens. The alien explorers stood tall and imposing, their varied forms a testament to the diversity of life in the galaxy. At their center was Elon, the leader of the group. His blue, scaled skin glistened under the sunlight as his sharp eyes locked onto Anya. He recognized her species instantly. "A human," he muttered, his voice carrying both awe and skepticism. "I thought your kind had vanished." Anya raised an eyebrow. "We're still here, though we keep to ourselves these days." "And you are?" "Elon, chief archaeologist of the Kirixan Collective," he said, stepping closer. "We discovered this place first. If you've come to claim it, you're too late." "I'm not here to claim anything," Anya replied, her tone calm but firm. "We picked up a signal, and we're here to investigate. What exactly have you found?" Elon hesitated. He didn't trust her. Humans were a mystery to his people, a vanished race spoken of only in legends. Yet there was something undeniable about her presence. She stood with confidence, her gaze unwavering. It reminded him of the stories he'd heard about humanity's stubborn resilience. Finally, he gestured toward the vault. "An artifact. A suit of armor. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. We've tried to study it. But what?" Anya pressed. "It won't respond to us," Elon admitted, a hint of frustration creeping into his voice. "Every attempt to interact with it has failed. It rejects us. Violently." Anya's curiosity deepened. "And you think it's human?" Elon nodded. "Its design, its mechanisms, They match the ancient traces of your kind. If anyone can unlock its secrets, it's you." Anya exchanged a look with Harris, who shrugged. "Looks like we're not leaving anytime soon." The humans and aliens moved toward the vault together, though tension hung in the air. Anya couldn't shake the feeling that the aliens weren't telling her everything. But for now, their goals aligned. When they reached the vault, Anya stopped in her tracks. The sight before her took her breath away. The suit of armor stood tall and silent, glowing faintly with blue light. Its design was unmistakably human. It was advanced and elegant, yet built with practicality in mind. Every piece looked like it served a purpose. She felt a strange pull toward it, as if the suit itself was calling to her. "This is it?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "Yes," Ellen said. "It has immense power, but it refuses to bond with us. Perhaps it will accept you." Anya hesitated. The air around the suit seemed charged, almost alive. Slowly, she stepped forward, her boots echoing against the smooth floor of the vault. The closer she got, the stronger the pull became. She raised her hand and touched the suit. In an instant, the glowing lines on the armor flared brighter. A deep hum filled the room, resonating in her chest. The suit began to shift, opening like a flower to reveal its inner mechanisms. It pulsed with energy, almost as if it were breathing. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the armor enveloped Anya, fitting her perfectly. She felt no fear, only a strange sense of belonging, as if the armor had been waiting for her all along. When the process was complete, she stood tall, fully encased in the sleek, glowing suit. What's happening?" Harris stammered, his eyes wide. Elon shook his head in disbelief. It chose her. Anya lifted her hands, marveling at the power coursing through her. The armor wasn't just a suit, it was alive, a living extension of herself. She could feel its energy, its strength, its purpose. "Elon," she said, her voice steady but filled with awe. "This isn't just armor. It's a weapon, a protector, and it was made for us." The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. They had hoped to unlock the suit's secrets, but now they realized the truth. This armor, this incredible relic, belonged to humanity alone. As Anya took her first steps in the suit, a deep sense of responsibility settled over her. This was more than an artifact. It was a legacy, and it had found its heir. The air inside the vault seemed heavier now, charged with an energy that everyone present could feel but not explain. The aliens stood at a cautious distance, watching as Captain Anyakor moved in the gleaming armor. Every step she took echoed with authority, the sound of ancient human engineering meeting the present. The glowing blue lines on the armor pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat, as if the suit was alive and responding to its new wearer. Elon, the Kirixan archaeologist, couldn't hide the mixture of awe and frustration in his expression. He had spent years chasing artifacts like this, hoping to uncover the secrets of the legendary human race. And now, a human had walked in and bonded with the suit in moments, something no alien had been able to achieve despite their advanced understanding of technology. "It's unbelievable," Ellen muttered, his scaled hands clenching at his sides. "The suit truly was meant for your kind." Anya looked down at the armor covering her body. It felt weightless, yet she could sense the immense power humming beneath the surface. She flexed her fingers, and the suit responded instantly, amplifying her strength without effort. "It feels like it's alive," she said softly, her voice reverberating slightly through the suit's built-in systems. Harris, standing near the entrance, broke the silence. "Captain, are you okay? That thing doesn't seem natural." "I'm fine," Anya replied, her tone steady. She turned her head toward Elon. "What do you know about this armor? You must have found some records or clues." Elon hesitated. Sharing knowledge was a delicate matter, especially when it came to something as valuable as the armor. Finally, he sighed. "The records we found are incomplete, but from what we've translated, This armor is more than just protection. It's a legacy, a piece of technology the humans created long ago to fight something terrible. We don't know exactly what, but the inscriptions call it the Great Devourer. Harris frowned. The Great Devourer. That doesn't sound good. It's not just a name, Elin continued. It's a warning. Whatever this devourer was, it must have been powerful enough to threaten entire civilizations. The armor was created to stand against it. But there's more. What more? Anya asked, her voice sharp with curiosity. The suit is alive, in a way. It has an intelligence, though not like anything we understand. It chooses its wearer based on compatibility, physical, mental, and... Elin paused, searching for the right word. Spiritual. That's why it rejected all of us. Only a human could meet its criteria. Anya's brow furrowed as she processed his words. The idea of an ancient war, of her ancestors creating such a weapon, felt both inspiring and overwhelming. And now it's chosen me, she said, more to herself than anyone else. Before anyone could respond, a low rumble shook the ground. The vault trembled, dust falling from the high ceiling. The aliens and humans exchanged tense glances. What was that? Harris asked, reaching for his sidearm instinctively. Elin's eyes widened in alarm. Something is coming. Anya's instincts kicked in. Everyone outside now. The group hurried out of the vault, emerging into the open air just in time to see the treetops shaking violently. A dark shadow loomed on the horizon, growing larger with every passing second. The alien explorers and Anya's crew stared in stunned silence as a massive insectoid creature burst through the forest. Its carapace glinted in the sunlight, and its many legs tore through the ground as it charged toward them. Elin's voice quivered. That's not possible. This planet was supposed to be uninhabited. Well, it's inhabited now, Harris yelled, pulling his weapon. The creature let out a deafening screech, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the air and into their bones. It was unlike anything Anya had ever encountered, and she realized immediately that their weapons would be useless against something this size. But the armor had other plans. Before Anya could think, the suit's systems flared to life. A display appeared before her eyes, feeding her information. The creature's size, speed, and weak points. She felt the suit guiding her movements, urging her to act. "Get back," she shouted to the others. Anya leaped forward, the armor propelling her with inhuman speed. She closed the distance to the creature in seconds, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to dodge its massive claws. The suit's energy pulsed, and a blade of pure light extended from her right arm. Without hesitation, she struck, slicing through the creature's tough exterior. The alien explorers and human crew watched in stunned silence as Anya moved with precision and power, the armor making her a force to be reckoned with. The creature roared in pain, but she didn't let up. Blow after blow landed until the beast collapsed with a final, shuddering screech. Anya stepped back, her chest heaving as she stared at the fallen creature. The armor's glow dimmed slightly, as if satisfied with its work. Elin approached cautiously, his eyes filled with awe. That was incredible. The armor responded to the threat, as if it knew exactly what to do. "It's not just a suit," Anya said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. "It's a weapon. And if this is what my ancestors were fighting against, I think we've only scratched the surface of what's coming." The group fell silent, the weight of her words settling over them. Whatever the Great Devourer was, it was clear that the armor was humanity's answer to it. And now that answer rested on Anya's shoulders. As the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the land, Anya turned to her crew. "We need to figure out what this armor knows. And fast. This is just the beginning." The team nodded, their resolve hardening. They didn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. The armor had chosen, and the fight for the galaxy's future had begun. The team stood still, their eyes glued to the dead creature lying in the clearing. Anya's breath slowed, her heart still pounding from the fight. The armor hummed gently, its energy calming after the battle, but the weight of what had just happened was heavy on her shoulders. She had just destroyed a massive alien creature, but something told her this was just the beginning. Elin stepped forward, his face pale, but his mind working quickly. What exactly was that thing? I've never seen anything like it in all my travels. Anya turned toward him, her gaze serious. That was just one of them. The armor. It knew how to defeat it. And I think we're going to need more of it if we want to survive whatever is coming. Harris, who had been standing a little farther back, still gripped his weapon tightly. He looked shaken but remained alert. We need to move, Captain. If that thing had a nest or something nearby, we're sitting ducks out here. Anya nodded, her mind already running through the possibilities. She could feel the presence of the suit, guiding her thoughts, making her feel confident, focused. It was more than just technology. It felt like an extension of herself. Yet there was still so much to understand. Agreed. Let's head back to the ship, Anya ordered, glancing at the sky. The twin suns were beginning to dip lower, and the shadows were growing longer. She didn't like the feeling of being out in the open as night began to fall. As the team made their way back toward the Odyssey, Elin fell into step beside Anya. His eyes flicked toward the suit, still glowing faintly around her. What's it like? The armor. Does it feel strange, having something like that inside you? Anya thought for a moment, considering the question. It's not like anything I've ever felt before. It feels connected to me, like it's responding to my thoughts, my instincts. It's more than just armor. It's part of me now. Elin nodded slowly, deep in thought. It makes sense. The armor responds to you in a way that is unique. It's almost as though it's alive. But it's more than that. It's a tool, a weapon. Yes, Anya agreed, glancing at the alien. A weapon. And not just for defense. It was built for a purpose, something far bigger than we can imagine. They arrived at the Odyssey, the small ship standing in stark contrast to the vastness of the planet around them. Anya felt the weight of the mission settle back on her. She couldn't shake the feeling that the dead creature was just a scout, something sent to test them, or worse, a warning. Inside the ship, they quickly got to work, checking systems and analyzing the data they'd gathered. The scanners had picked up strange readings from the planet's surface after the creature had attacked. There was a larger, more organized signal coming from the deeper regions of the planet, something powerful and growing stronger by the minute. We've got a problem, Harris said, his face grim as he examined the readings. There's more of them down there, Captain, and they're not just creatures. They're part of a network, like they're all connected to something bigger. Whatever's on this planet, it's gathering its strength. Anya stood, her expression determined. Elin, what do you know about this planet? Is there any record of something like this? Elin shook his head. Nothing that explains this. There are signs of ancient activity, ruins, strange structures, but no record of what's beneath the surface. It was believed that this planet was abandoned long before we ever came here. Anya clenched her fists. That's not the case anymore. Harris stepped forward. Captain, with respect, we don't know what we're dealing with. If that thing back there was just a scout, we're facing something much worse. We should leave the planet and get reinforcements. No, Anya said firmly. If we leave now, we'll never know what's really here. Whatever is happening, it's tied to humanity's past. We need to find out what's underground and what's controlling these creatures. If it's connected to the great devourer that Elin mentioned, we can't afford to wait. The others fell silent, weighing her words. Anya's determination was clear, and it was hard to argue with her logic. Whatever was hidden beneath the surface, it was too dangerous to leave alone. After a moment, Elin spoke again. I agree. There's no going back now. But we'll need more than just your armor to face whatever is waiting down there. We'll need to work together. Anya nodded. We'll need all the help we can get. We'll find a way to work together. But this time, We go prepared. The next few hours were spent preparing for the mission. The Odyssey was equipped with mining gear, tools, and weapons, though Anya was certain they would need more than standard firepower to survive whatever lay ahead. The armor was a key part of their plan, but she couldn't rely on it alone. As the ship lifted off and made its way toward the coordinates of the underground signal, the mood was tense. Everyone was focused, their minds on the task ahead. The planet below seemed peaceful at first glance, but Anya knew better now. It was a place hiding deadly secrets, and they were about to uncover them. When the ship landed near the entrance to a dark cavern, the air grew colder. The landscape was barren, but the ground was dotted with strange, glowing markings, symbols that didn't seem to belong to any known species. Anya felt a shiver run down her spine. This wasn't just an alien invasion. It was something far more ancient, something tied to the very roots of humanity's history. "Stay close," she ordered, her voice steady. "We move in, find the source of the signal, and eliminate the threat." As they entered the cavern, the air became thick with tension. The deeper they went, the more oppressive the feeling became. Anya's senses, enhanced by the armor, were on high alert. She could feel the presence of something watching them from the shadows. And then, a voice, low, resonant, echoed through the cavern, vibrating in her bones. "You shouldn't have come here." The voice echoed through the cavern, its deep tones reverberating against the stone walls. It wasn't just a sound. It was a presence, a force that seemed to settle over the group like a heavy weight. Anya's hand instinctively moved to the hilt of the weapon at her side, though she knew it was pointless. Whatever was in here wasn't something a standard weapon could defeat. "Did anyone else hear that?" Harris whispered, his voice low but tinged with fear. Anya nodded, her gaze scanning the darkness ahead. Her eyes, enhanced by the suit, cut through the shadows, revealing faint shapes and glimmers of strange symbols carved into the cavern walls. The markings pulsed with a sickly glow, like they were alive. She could feel them in her bones, an ancient energy thrumming beneath the surface. "Stay alert," Anya ordered, her voice steady, though inside she was just as tense. The voice was gone, but the feeling it left behind remained, heavy and oppressive. Whatever was down here knew they were coming. It was waiting. Elin, who had been quietly studying the symbols on the walls, turned to her. This is unlike anything I've seen. These markings, they're not from any known civilization. They look older than anything we've encountered." "That's because it is," Anya muttered. She could feel it now, the weight of history pressing down on her. "The creatures we've encountered, the armor, it's all connected. This planet was never abandoned. It was sealed off, and we're about to find out why." The group moved forward cautiously, the sound of their footsteps echoing through the silent cavern. The deeper they went, the colder it became, and the air thickened, almost as if something was suffocating them. The further they traveled, the more the symbols seemed to move, shifting like living things. Anya felt an eerie sensation crawl up her spine. It was as if they were being watched, not by eyes, but by something far older, far more powerful. "Captain," Harris whispered, his voice tight. "I don't like this. This place feels wrong." Anya didn't need to answer him. She felt it too. But they couldn't turn back now. The signal was growing stronger, more intense the further they went. She knew they were getting close. They reached a large chamber, its ceiling high above them, lost in shadows. The air was thick with the smell of something old and decayed. In the center of the room stood a massive structure, half buried in the ground, its surface smooth and black like obsidian. The strange markings from the walls covered it, glowing with an unnatural light. "That's it," Elin whispered, stepping forward. "The source of the signal." The others followed him, but Anya stayed back for a moment, her eyes scanning the room. She could feel it now, the pull of the suit, the way it seemed to be reacting to the structure. It wasn't just a weapon anymore. It was part of this place, part of the planet. The realization sent a chill through her. As they approached the structure, the air seemed to shift. The temperature dropped suddenly, and a low hum filled the room. Anya could feel the suit responding, its energy pulsing in sync with the hum. The markings on the walls flared brighter, casting eerie shadows across the chamber. And then, from the heart of the structure, a voice, just as deep, just as resonant, spoke again. But this time, it wasn't just a warning. "Why have you come?" the voice asked, its tone both ancient and filled with malice. "This world is not for you. It is not your place." Anya's pulse quickened, but she stood tall, the armor's energy flowing through her. "We came to stop what you started," she said, her voice strong, despite the fear creeping into her heart. The ground beneath them rumbled, and the structure seemed to shift, like it was waking up. A dark figure emerged from within, towering and cloaked in shadow. Its form was indistinct, but its presence was undeniable. An entity of darkness, of ancient power. It was neither fully alive nor dead, but something in between. It was clear that this was not an alien creature. They were looking at something far older, something that had waited for eons. "You are too late," the entity hissed, its voice like 1,000 whispers. "The great devourer is coming. And when it does, all will be consumed." Anya's breath caught in her throat. The word sent a chill through her, but she refused to show weakness. "Who are you?" she demanded. "What is the great devourer?" The entity's shadowed form shifted, and its voice became sharper, more focused. "I am the Guardian, the last of those who stood against the devourer. We sealed this place away, but it is only a matter of time before the devourer returns." Anya's heart raced. "Then tell me how to stop it." The Guardian's form twisted, and it seemed to grow larger, its presence expanding. "You cannot stop it. The devourer is inevitable. It will destroy everything in its path, and you will not survive. Your species failed once. It will fail again." Anya took a step forward, her eyes never leaving the shifting figure. "Maybe we failed before, but we're still here, and we won't let you finish what you started." The Guardian seemed to pause, considering her words. For a moment, the air in the chamber grew still, the hum of the structure quieting. Then the Guardian's form seemed to shrink, its voice losing some of its earlier power. "You may try, but it will not be enough," it said softly. "The devourer will consume all. Even your precious armor will not save you." Anya's resolve hardened. The armor pulsed with energy, its presence filling her with a strange sense of confidence. "We'll see about that." With that, the Guardian's form flickered and vanished, leaving the group in the now eerily silent chamber. The pulsing light of the structure began to dim, but the weight of what had just been said hung heavy in the air. Anya turned to her team. "We're not leaving here without answers, and we're not backing down." Elon nodded, his expression one of both awe and fear. "I don't know what we're up against, but I believe you, Captain." Harris clenched his fists. "Let's finish this." The group stood together, their mission now more urgent than ever. The devourer was coming, but Anya had a feeling. No, a certainty that they weren't ready to give up just yet. The chamber fell silent after the Guardian's warning. The air was thick with tension as Anya stood at the heart of the cavern, staring at the spot where the dark figure had been moments before. She could still feel the weight of its presence, like an invisible pressure pressing in on her mind. The words echoed in her head. "The devourer is coming, and when it does, all will be consumed." Anya's hands clenched into fists, but she pushed the fear down. Fear wouldn't help them now. They had a mission to complete, and they weren't leaving until they had answers. "Harris, Elon, stay alert," she ordered, her voice steady despite the dread creeping into her chest. "The Guardian might be gone, but we still don't know what's waiting for us down here." Harris nodded, his grip on his weapon tight, his eyes scanning every corner of the darkened cavern. Elon, meanwhile, seemed lost in thought, his eyes glued to the glowing structure at the center of the room. The alien archaeologist's expression was a mixture of awe and concern. "I don't understand," Elon said, his voice filled with confusion. "The Guardian said humanity failed once. What does that mean? What happened before?" Anya turned to him. "Whatever happened, it's tied to the Great Devourer, the armor, the creatures, everything. The Devourer is not just a monster. It's something that can destroy entire worlds." She paused for a moment, the weight of the situation sinking in. They were standing on a planet that had once been a battleground, a place where an ancient force had been sealed away. And now, it seemed that force was waking up. "We have to figure out what the Devourer really is, and how to stop it," Anya said, her voice resolute. The group made their way to the center of the room, where the structure stood like a monument to something long forgotten. The eerie symbols on its surface pulsed with an unnatural energy, their light dimming and brightening in a rhythm that felt almost alive. Anya could sense the suit reacting to it, its energy field humming softly, as though it was trying to connect with the structure. "Do you think this is how the armor works?" Harris asked, looking at the markings. "Is it somehow linked to this?" Anya didn't answer at first. She was too busy studying the structure, her mind racing. The armor was clearly more than just protective gear. It was a key, a tool created by her ancestors to fight against something far worse than they had realized. But what could the armor's connection to this structure be? Was the suit designed to stop the Devourer, or was it a part of something larger? "Elon, you said these symbols were part of a lost civilization. What if this was their final act before they were destroyed?" Anya asked. Elon's eyes widened. "It's possible. The markings seem to indicate some sort of ritual, a way to lock something away, to protect against an unknown force. If the Guardian was telling the truth, the Devourer must have destroyed their world." Anya shook her head. "We don't have time to speculate. We need to find a way to use the armor to stop the Devourer before it's too late." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and a loud rumbling noise echoed through the cavern. The lights flickered, and the structure's glow intensified, casting strange, elongated shadows across the walls. It was as if something deep within the planet was waking up. Anya's heart raced. "What the hell was that?" Harris asked, his voice tense. Before Anya could respond, a new sound filled the chamber. It was a low, guttural roar, a sound that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. The floor shook again, and then, from the far corner of the cavern, something large and dark shifted. Anya's eyes narrowed. The roar grew louder, and the ground trembled beneath them with every step the creature took. Something was coming, and it was big, bigger than anything they had faced before. "Get ready," Anya shouted, her hand moving to the hilt of the weapon at her side. The armor hummed to life, its energy resonating with her movements. The suit knew what was coming. It could feel the threat, just as she could. The shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, a massive creature with chitinous armor and glowing red eyes. Its body was a mix of insectoid and reptilian features, and its legs, long and spindly, seemed to scrape the ground with every step. It let out another deafening roar, its claws scraping against the stone floor as it advanced toward them. "It's huge," Harris yelled, taking a step back, his weapon raised. "What is that thing?" Anya didn't answer. Her mind was already working, her thoughts focused on the armor systems. The suit had been designed to fight. She had to trust it. It was the only chance they had. The creature charged, its claws swiping at the air. Anya's reflexes were sharp, her body moving with the fluidity of the suit. She dodged the creature's attack and landed in a crouch, the armor's systems helping her stay balanced. The suit's energy surged, and a blade of pure light materialized from her forearm. Without hesitation, she lunged forward, slashing at the creature's side. The blade cut deep into the creature's armored hide, but it didn't falter. Instead, it let out an enraged screech and swung its massive claw toward her. Anya blocked the attack with the armor's shield, the force of the blow vibrating through her body. The creature was strong, but she had the advantage of speed and the suit's power. "Fall back," she ordered, her voice urgent. "We need to find its weak spot." Elin and Harris didn't need to be told twice. They retreated to the edges of the chamber, trying to avoid the creature's swipes and strikes. The beast roared again, its glowing eyes locked on Anya. It wasn't just attacking, it was hunting her. The creature lunged, but Anya was faster. She dove beneath its outstretched claws, her blade flashing once more as she struck its exposed underbelly. The creature staggered, its screech echoing through the cavern as it crumpled to the ground. Anya stood over the fallen creature, her breath coming in heavy gasps. The armor was still humming, its energy intact. But as she looked down at the beast, she knew this wasn't the last of them. The devourer was close, and it was coming for them. The beast's body lay motionless on the ground, its chitinous hide cracked and broken, where Anya's blade had struck. The air in the cavern was thick with the stench of its blood, and the low hum of the armor reverberated in Anya's bones. Her heart raced as she stood over the creature, still panting from the fight. The roar that had filled the cavern was now replaced with an eerie silence. But Anya knew better than to relax. This fight was far from over. "Is it dead?" Harris asked, his voice filled with uncertainty as he cautiously stepped forward, his weapon still raised. Anya nodded slowly, but her eyes never left the fallen creature. "For now. But it's only a matter of time before more of them show up." Elin, who had been silent throughout the fight, stepped closer, studying the creature's body. "This thing, it's unlike anything we've seen before. It's not just an alien. It's something ancient, something linked to the devourer. I'm not sure we've even scratched the surface of what we're up against." Anya turned to him, her expression hardening. "We don't have the luxury of time to figure it out. The devourer is coming, and we need to stop it before it destroys everything." She felt the weight of her words. They had already lost too much to wait any longer. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet trembled again. The walls of the cavern seemed to shake, and the air grew colder. Anya's hand instinctively went to the weapon at her side. She could feel the armor responding, its energy surging in preparation for the next battle. But this time, something felt different. The entire planet seemed to be shifting, as if it was alive and reacting to the threat that was approaching. "We're not alone," Harris muttered, his eyes scanning the cavern. Anya's gaze flicked toward the entrance to the cavern. The shadows seemed to deepen, swirling unnaturally. And then, from the darkness, came a sound, the unmistakable scrape of claws against stone. The creature they had just defeated was not the last. More were coming. "Get ready," Anya ordered, her voice steady despite the rising panic inside her. "We need to fight our way to the surface." The rumbling grew louder, and then the first of the new creatures emerged from the shadows. It was even bigger than the last one, its eyes glowing a sickly red. It was followed by two more, then a dozen. The chamber was quickly filling with them, and Anya realized with a sinking feeling that they were surrounded. "We're outnumbered," Harris said, his voice tight. Anya glanced at her team. The odds were stacked against them, but she wasn't about to back down. Not now. Not when they were so close to uncovering the truth. "The armor can help us, but we need to work together," she said, her voice low and commanding. "Harris, Elin, stay close to me. Don't let them separate us." Elin nodded, his face determined. He may have been a scientist, but he had fought alongside them before. He knew how to survive. The first of the creatures lunged at them with a terrifying speed. Anya didn't hesitate. She met the creature head-on, her blade flashing in the dim light as she slashed at its exposed side. The creature screeched in pain and staggered back, but it wasn't down yet. It was far from it. Harris fired a round at one of the other creatures, but the shot glanced off its armored hide. It hissed in frustration, turning its glowing red eyes toward him. The other creatures followed suit, their eyes locking on their prey. The battle was far from easy, and there were too many enemies for them to handle alone. But Anya had something the creatures didn't: the armor. The suit's energy surged as she moved, enhancing her strength, speed, and precision. She sliced through one of the creature's legs, severing it with a clean strike. It fell to the ground, its screech filling the air as it tried to drag itself away. She didn't give it the chance to escape. With a quick movement, she finished it off, her blade sinking deep into its heart. But the battle wasn't over. Another creature charged at her, its claws swiping through the air. Anya ducked beneath the attack and rolled to her feet, ready for the next strike. The suit guided her every move, her senses heightened as she became more in tune with its power. Harris fired again, taking down another creature. Elon wasn't as comfortable with a weapon, but he fought bravely, using the tools around him to create barriers and traps. They were working together as a team, each member using their strengths to hold their ground. But Anya could feel it. The Devourer was coming. The creatures they were fighting were only the first wave. There was something much larger, much more powerful, coming from deeper within the planet. She could feel the pulse of it, like a heartbeat beneath the ground. It was coming closer. "We can't keep this up," Harris shouted, his voice strained. "We need to find a way to stop them for good." Anya's gaze flicked to the glowing structure in the center of the room. It was still pulsing with energy, but there was something about it that felt different. Something had changed since they first approached it. She couldn't explain it, but she felt like they were connected to it somehow. "Stay close," she called to her team. "We're heading for the structure." With one last surge of energy, Anya charged toward the structure. The armor's power surged in response, and she moved faster than ever, cutting down any creature that tried to stop her. Elon and Harris followed close behind, fighting their way through the massive creatures as they made their way to the center of the cavern. When they reached the structure, Anya slammed her fist against it, sending a pulse of energy through the ancient device. There was a low hum as the structure seemed to react. The burst of light exploded from the center, and the creatures around them staggered back, disoriented. The ground shook violently, and the creatures howled in anger. Anya felt the power of the armor reach its peak, and she knew this was it, the final stand. They were ready. The Devourer was coming, but they were ready to face it.